Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, July 27th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect partly sunny skies, possible thunderstorms, and a high of about 92 in San Antonio today. One more person died of COVID-19 as Bexar County cases surpassed 3,600, officials announced on Sunday. In the last 2 weeks alone, 138 San Antonians infected with the virus have died. The death toll stood at 323 on Sunday night. Mark your calendars for Wednesday morning, as the Express News Board will interview superintendents from Northside, Edgewood, and San Antonio ISD about the upcoming school year and the plans for reopening. You can find a link to the conversation in the episode's description. And now, let's move on to the top stories for the day. You wear a mask, you social distance, and make liberal use of hand sanitizer whenever you're out of the house, just like the experts advise. But what about when you're at home? What can you do to keep yourself and your family safe from COVID-19 inside your house? An obvious place to look is in your home's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, because all inside air eventually passes through it. Since we know the coronavirus is mostly transmitted by air, it makes sense to focus your efforts there. Richard Marini talked to a couple of experts to find out what homeowners can and cannot do to keep their air in their homes as free of the virus as possible. In the first public accounting of Gregorio Palomino's performance on his federal food relief contract, a U.S. Department of Agriculture official said the San Antonio event planner fell 250,000 food boxes short of what he was supposed to deliver. Palomino's $39 million contract with the USDA called for him to deliver 750,000 boxes of produce, protein, and dairy to food banks and other nonprofits in the southwestern U.S. under the Farmers to Families Food Box program. The company will not collect the full $39 million, and its contract was not extended. Still, many questions remain unanswered, including exactly how many boxes were delivered. Tom Osborne dives deep into the numbers in his latest article. Ambulance crews respond an average of once an hour to transport COVID-19 patients to hospitals, long-term care facilities, or to their homes. For paramedics, it's a daily battle against two invisible enemies, the virus and burnout. Reporter Marina Starleaf-Riker and photographer Lisa Krantz rode along for an entire day, from breakfast in the cramped front seat of an ambulance to the routine of cleaning up and going home. Their reporting provides a look at a career that's crucial during this pandemic, but is also a job that will chew you up and spit you out, as a supervisor said. Charles Shoemate made it to Korea in time for the breakout that drove communist forces beyond the Yalu River. He was barely 17 on the morning Chinese troops swarmed over his position. The seesawing fight for Korea, grim and bloody, drew in UN troops from a number of countries. It sputtered to a halt with an uneasy armistice 67 years ago today on July 27, 1953, but it was never formally ended. Shoemate, now 87, talked with Sig Christensen about his route to Korea, the close calls that helped him develop a strong faith in God, and more. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. You can find a link to that dashboard in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. The number of dreamers in Texas could nearly double if the Trump administration begins accepting applications for the federal program that could offer them legal protections and work authorizations. Trump defended his performance in fighting the coronavirus during an interview with Fox News' Chris Wallace that aired on July 19th, insisting that the mortality rate from COVID-19 in the United States is among the world's lowest. We have a fact check on that claim in the episode's description. Since June 1st, roughly 1,800 employees have been working from the Valero's Northwest Side campus. During the last month, 32 employees have tested positive for COVID-19, according to internal memos sent to employees. As COVID-19 cases spiked in June, only 25 Metro Health case investigators were working to identify close contacts of patients in San Antonio. In April, a panel of health experts had recommended a team of 175. 2 San Antonio area dance schools have indoor performances planned in the coming weeks, despite widespread concerns about rising coronavirus infections and repeated pleas from the city and county officials to limit large gatherings. The Express News editorial board writes, quote, "It may be a glimmer of hope, a faint light in a dark world, but it's encouraging nonetheless. An experimental vaccine has shown promising results in COVID-19 study participants, according to data published in the medical journal, The Lancet." San Antonio has hit a census plateau and needs to get past a 61% response rate. Columnist Elena Ayala has more on what needs to be done. The Bexar County Republican Party chair has refused to certify the results of a runoff election in which she was voted out of office. Accepting defeat gracefully is not Cynthia Bream's style, columnist Gilbert Garcia writes. On Saturday afternoon, several local activist groups protested along rainy downtown streets as part of a national day of action to demand a stop to evictions and foreclosures and an end to police brutality and racism. 1 person is dead and 2 were taken to the hospital with injuries after a single-engine plane crashed into the Southside residential area on Saturday morning. The city will leverage traffic lights in its plan to connect 20,000 students' homes to their schools' wireless networks. Alia Malik has more on how that will work. Sports columnist Mike Finger writes, quote, "The odds say difficult times lie ahead, even in the bubble and even in front of virtual crowds, and every league from the professional ranks to middle school volleyball had better be prepared to make an important decision." This week in history, on July 30th, 1976, the biggest enclosed regional shopping center in South Texas, Windsor Park Mall, opened its door to thousands. The official dedication ceremony featured such celebrities as Ed McMahon and Jamie Farr from MASH. Windsor Park Mall closed in 2005, and local tech company Rackspace turned the old mall into its headquarters in 2007. See the before and after pictures of Windsor Park Mall at the link in the episode's description. Artist Ashley Mireles and Kate Bradshaw are familiar with Phil Hardberger Park, which Bradshaw calls one of my favorite spots in town. It's also the site of art pieces they are creating, a pair of wildlife viewing blinds on the Robert L. Tobin Land Bridge, which will span Wurzbach Parkway and link the two sides of the Northside Park. And now, let's move on to the fun stuff. For the Spurs, Orlando offers a glimpse of tomorrow's backcourt today. The Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker starting group has been key to the Spurs' experimentation in the NBA's restart scrimmages. Also, we have 5 things to watch as the Spurs attempt to earn an NBA record 23 consecutive postseason berths. Mars Pizza and More is an out-of-this-world restaurant on San Antonio's northeast side. Find out why our 52 Weeks of Pizza review says it's worth a drive. Paul Stevens' latest tips show you how to make your kitchen grind a breeze with the right mortar and pestle. Texas Longhorn coach Tom Herman is still preparing for the full 2020 season, quote, until they tell us to pivot. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful start to your week, everyone.